You can't miss it when you enter the downtown area of St. Augustine, Florida. It sits like a castle on the edge of the bay, welcoming visitors from the sea. But in fact, this is a place where America began. Decades before Jamestown and the Pilgrims of Plymouth ever stepping foot on North America, St. Augustine is the first European city in the land we now call the United States. And the Castillo de San Marcos is one of its crown jewels that protected the people of St. Augustine from attackers. Come along with us as we tour this iconic Spanish fort and talk about its history, structure, and artillery that still adorns its walls. All across this land are beautiful sights to behold, history to uncover, and places to explore. Colorado Martini has been lucky enough to travel across the countryside to see some of these wondrous sights. This is Colorado Martini on the road. In the late 1600s, the British settling to the north crept into the Carolinas. Spanish Florida was only a short sail away. A fort made of something stronger than wood was needed to protect St. Augustine and to keep the British from taking over Spanish Florida. So construction on the Castillo de San Marcos began in 1672 and still stands as a testament to the stronghold the Spanish had on this land. So this looks like it used to have a moat around it, which is pretty cool. I'm gonna have to look that up to see if it really had a moat or it was just an area to, slow you down. So the fort used to protect the bay here, and the opening to the ocean's right there, so you can see how close it was. So this fort housed Spanish, British, Confederate, Union, Spanish-American War, World War II. I mean, this was American and British and Spanish. So you think this was a moat or just more of a space? So this is a Coquina. The fort and many other historic buildings in the area are made up of the rock Coquina. Coquina is a rare sedimentary stone made up of native shells which have formed over a long period of geologic time. The rock was quarried on the nearby Anastasia Island since 1671. You can still visit the quarry on the island today. The word coquina is Spanish for tiny shell. The fort walls are entirely made up of these tiny coquina clam seashells and have lasted 300 years. Not to mention, the walls lasted 3 days of cannon fire bombardment. What's nice is when you go inside the buildings, they're really cool. So if you're really hot, this is actually a really good fort to come to because the indoors is very cool inside. It acts as all the rock acts as a natural coolant. So this looks like this was the well, maybe.
Yep.
You would think it'd be very salty, you know.
You can use it for other things. Boil it.
So you can see this is a church. That's very indicative of the Catholic religion. The altar.
Yes.
Oh, this is really nice in here.
Oh, we got a sneeze brewing.
The fort was attacked several times and twice surrounded. The first siege was in 1702 and then in 1740. But the fort was never taken by force. In 1702, English colonial forces sieged St. Augustine. Approximately 1,500 town residents and soldiers were crammed into the fort during the 2-month siege. The small English cannons had little effect on the Coquina walls of the fort. The impact of the cannonballs was absorbed by the unique rock and just sunk into the walls rather than shattering or puncturing them. During the siege, the dry moat was used to corral cattle so the Spanish could guard the much-needed food from attack. It's really cool. Their cannons are so ornate. I mean, look at this thing. It is beautiful. Look at the detail on this. Oh, wow. That is awesome. That is extraordinary. The fort contains 3 types of artillery. You can find mortars, howitzers, and cannons. Mortars were the shortest barrel cannon. It has a high arc, making it suitable for reaching behind walls and other barriers. Howitzers are considered a hybrid gun with a mid-length barrel. It has a medium to high angle and can be adjusted to increase or decrease its range. The cannons have a long barrel. They have a relatively flat arc when fired. They have the ability to destroy buildings, walls, or obstacles. Exploding shells were most effective when fired from mortars and howitzers, where solid shots like cannonballs were best when used with cannons. So they could see the ships coming in. Right there's the inlet. They have these little turrets they could go in and see what was going on. Very awesome. You have a good view up here of the city. You can see the city wall right there. So make sure you come up top. It's actually a lot wider up here than I realized. There's no railings up here. There's no way to get up here if you're in a wheelchair. But it has a beautiful view of the bay. So what do you think they used to cook down in that oven down there?
Well, you know, so while they were Spaniards at heart, they truly liked Italian food. That was their wood-burning pizza oven.
A pizza oven?
Yeah.